Netflix has released a big teaser for the third season of The Squid Game, which reveals many details about the third season. The long-awaited release of the series will take place on June 27th. Kai-hoon and the other players will have to play the remaining 3 games, while policeman Jun-ho will try to find the ill-fated island and infiltrate it. Last season, there were also no VIP guests since they usually appear around the 5th game, but they will undoubtedly return for the final games. The host will have to overcome all moral barriers, since he still decides to continue the games and watch his new friends die. And by the end of the season, he will come face to face with his younger brother Jun-ho. Today, we will analyze everything you need to know before the release of the third season of The Squid Game, and also understand what kind of trials the main characters will face. Before the release of the third season, the creators of the series will release several more trailers. So far, they've only provided a short teaser of a soldier dragging a player along the colors, hinting at one of the next 3 games the contestants will be playing. However, we've also received a few teaser photos of both the VIP guests and Ki-hoon being forced to return and continue the games. But then the show's creators released unofficial footage as a trailer for their upcoming series in 2025, which is where we first get our first glimpse of this giant gacha pong machine. Starting with the teaser, we first see 6 soldiers carrying a coffin into the player's dorm. As we recall, these soldiers are usually the ones to carry away dead players after brawls or the challenges themselves. But this time, we see them marching straight to the rest of the players and handing the coffin over to the contestants. It's probably fair to wonder, what's so special about that? As we know, the coffin contains a still living Ki-hoon. This must be the same photo we saw in the leaked footage a few months ago. It's pretty sad that out of the 12 rebels that Kai-hoon recruited, almost all of them died. But what I'm personally really happy about is that players 120 and 388 returned to the dorms and survived. This shot seems to take place shortly after Kai-hoon's revolution was crushed, and then we're introduced to our next game. All of the players are in this giant room, and you know what? While we're at it, let's do some counting. Because at this point, we don't actually know how many players are left in the trials. Let's start. After the final game of Season 2, the Carousel Challenge, there are exactly 100 players left. Then 5 players died in the toilet fight, and then we have to factor in the deaths during the dorm massacre, and use a few of these wide shots to come to the conclusion that there are 46 players left, including Kai-hoon and all the players who died during the Uprising. But if we revisit the new footage and all the remaining players in Season 3, we see 29 players on the left, another 28 on the right, and Kai-hoon himself, which makes 58 players, which is 12 more players than we counted at the end of Season 2. This means that in addition to the 9 who died during the Uprising, and the 5 in the bathroom, only 28 players were killed in the middle of the night massacre, which is much less than it looked at first glance. But in any case, the new game really remains a big intrigue. In the first teaser, we saw a giant gacha pong machine that randomly assigns teams. This will split everyone equally, meaning players with X's and O's will be mixed up in this game. It looks like the players will pull a lever in chronological order, and a ball will drop, assigning them to either the red team or the blue team. Kai-hoon is apparently the last one to go, and the only ball left is the red one. As we can see in the next few shots, the red team will consist of Ki-hoon, Nam-gyu, Thanos' friend, Gamja, player 149, Min-soo, and player 333 along with his love interest, Jun-hee, player 222. This means that the blue team will include player 120, who is a big threat given her combat training. Also player number 7, and the blue team has a special trump card in the form of a crazy shaman, who seems to have her own cult of followers who can harm anyone if necessary. And we must also remember that there is an old, slightly crazy player, number 100, he is also on the blue team. And here in the background, we can also notice Kang Dae-ho, also part of the blue team. Most of the other players are random characters, but this does not mean that the main characters will not be killed here. In the giant room they are in, there are 2 doorways, one in the shape of a knife and one in the shape of a keyhole. We can assume that the red team will attack, and the blue team will defend. And it looks like this game will be played in something resembling a labyrinth, with narrow passages and corridors everywhere. In this picture, the blue player is already pressed against the wall behind Ki-hoon. Considering how tight the map is, there's a lot of melee and surprises to be had. Especially if you start running through the maze, turn a corner, and run into the other team. It looks like there's going to be some sort of part on the keyhole, possibly a key, and the knife will likely be given to the red players to chase after the blues. Here we see player 120 using only his fists and facing off against a red player. At first I was surprised that Namgyu and Ki-hoon were on the same team, but then it makes sense. Maybe player 120 is going up against him, and they needed someone for her to fight. It looks like all the players are going to be given these boxes. The red boxes go to the red team, and the blue boxes, which makes sense, go to the blue team. I think the red players are going to get a knife, judging by the hole in the door. And in this picture we see player 44, the shaman, holding a key, as if that's what's in those blue boxes. And the red team is going to try to get the keys from the blue team, but it's going to be more of a maze battle. Here we see the shaman drawing an arrow on the wall with blood, maybe to help her team or confuse the opponents. And now it looks like the timer is counting down, and the red team will have about 10 minutes to get the keys from the blue players, and the blue team will have 10 minutes to try to survive and keep their keys. And when the timer stops, all the players who have keys will move on to the next game, and all the contestants who are left without a key are eliminated, which means that this game should be another brutal game where half of the contestants will die, reducing the number of players to 29. We will also see VIP guests for the first time this season, and it looks like they showed up early to have dinner together. As we can see, there are women among the VIP guests this time. Tell me, do you have any idea why all the VIP guests so far have been men? This should be interesting. It looks like this year, like last year, there will be 5 VIPs. And in this shot, it is funny that the only person who is not served a plate of dinner is the host, because he is the only one whose mask also covers his mouth. It looks like voting will continue this season, and as we remember in the finale of the second season, the Zeros killed all the godchildren during the dorm massacre. Now the situation has changed dramatically in their favor, and if you look closely in the corner, you can see that Ki-hoon is handcuffed to the bed because the main character stubbornly does not stop trying to somehow stop the tests. And for those who are interested, the number of players here with zeros is 35 people and 20 people with crosses, plus of course Ki-hoon himself, but this is 2 people less than we saw in the previous image. Most likely there may be short players in the back, so do not pay attention to this. Also, in case you forgot, soldier number 11 Kang No Yul is trying to escape the Squid Game system this season, and here we see some really cool shots of her. This shot shows No Yul crawling through the ventilation pipes, and then we see her on the beach from the shots we got a while ago. But then we see a shot of Jun-ho on the beach of the island. The last time we saw him, Jun-ho was still on board the captain's ship, who works for the MC, and now we see him in scuba gear on the island. But it looks like he'll most likely meet No Yul on this beach, and then there's a shot of her going back into the ventilation shaft. We can assume she's giving him directions. We also get a quick shot of No Yul with a lighter in the archives room. Rather than going to the police with information about the Squid Game, No Yul will most likely just try to burn the place down. However, who knows, maybe her goal will change once she meets Jun-ho. Next, we see a shot of Jun-ho breaking into a room inside the gaming hall, meaning they managed to re-infiltrate the building. I can't wait to see him come face to face with his brother. Next, the creators show a brief moment of Kyung-suk, player 246, being scanned by a soldier, and it's just crazy. Confirming that he's alive is one thing, but will he be scanned and added back into the games? I thought it would be a good idea for him and No Yul to escape together, but it looks like she's alone in all of this footage. Now, we also get a new look at the MC. If you pause and zoom in, it looks like he's about to cry. Last season, we saw him form many bonds, making friends in games while posing as the #1 player. He became very close to Ki-hoon, even though his job was to do the opposite. The MC also became attached to Jun-hee, player 222, most likely because she reminded him of his pregnant wife who died. Also keep in mind that Jun-ho, his younger brother, will try to find him and will most likely come face to face with him at some point. But why are there tears in his eyes? I can't help but wonder if it's because of the next shot. At the end of the trailer, we see Jung-ju sobbing, and then a shot of Joon-hee with a tear running down her cheek. And the last thing we hear before the trailer ends is a baby crying. Now just imagine if your legal birthplace was the Squid Game. Last season, the show gave us a tiny bit of hope that Joon-hee and her boyfriend would survive and have a baby. But in every shot, they look scared and worried. In the shot where Joon-hee is crying, she is not wearing a vest, which could mean that she survived the first game, and the events take place after this round. Her face and lips look a little pale, and her eyes are really dull, as if the life is leaving them. I really hope that the host will show mercy and not kill her child. He knew that she was pregnant when she was brought to the games, and even helped her and showed her favor because of her pregnancy. I think the baby has a better chance of surviving than Joon-hee herself. As far as we know, she may die during childbirth. I also wonder if Gum-ja will use her secret knife hidden in her hair. Because in this picture where she is crying, it looks like she just helped deliver a baby, since her hair is down. But then again, even though we have been given some details about the final season, there are still many questions. Who will be able to survive in the end, in your opinion? Write your opinion in the comments.